What's up, guys? This is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. Your free-thinking, innovative, totally open-minded new progressive media. And this is the Tommy Nation Politics Tuesday Livestream main show. We're going to be coming to you with topics of grave importance, some of them kind of trivial, some of them kind of nonsense. But I've got my special guest co-host here, Chris Savage. We'll be talking about him, and hopefully you guys on the chat can join us in a civil political discussion. I'm your host, though, Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. Make sure, guys, if you want to like the bell, click subscribe on the videos, share the videos to other people. You can always do that. Also, our main website is www.tommynationpolitics.com. And you can always hit us up with messages on our Facebook, facebook.com/Tommy Nation Politics. This is the main live show, guys. Enjoy. Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
The Russian President Vladimir Putin said again today that he does not want a war with Europe, despite describing the situation in Ukraine's Donbass region as genocide. It is a false claim. It is a heavily loaded claim, and it is a claim that could be used as a pretext for invasion. The Donbass region, which we've highlighted on that map, is in eastern Ukraine. It has been the scene of heavy fighting between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed troops since 2014. And it is true to say that thousands have died and millions have fled for safety, some of those into Russia. In those intervening years, President Putin has granted passports to more than 600,000 people living in the region, thereby effectively making them Russian nationals. And so he could, in theory, send troops in on the pretense of protecting those new Russian nationals against these false claims of genocide. So with all that in mind, let's have a look at Russian troop movements and what they might or might not tell us about the coming days and the possibility of an all-out invasion of Ukraine. Now, first, this video, which caused a bit of a stir around the world when it was released by the Russian Defense Ministry. It shows tanks from the southern and western military districts returning to their bases. On the face of it, a good sign. But Western officials that I've spoken to give it very little credibility. They point out that there is a lot of movement backwards and forwards, but most of it in one direction, and that is towards the Ukrainian border. So we're now going to show you a series of satellite photos to explain why they might conclude that. Now here we can see in the first satellite image the garrison at Yelna in western Russia. Large amounts of weaponry were moved there last year, including 700 tanks and ballistic missile launchers. But take a look at this image that was taken on Sunday, and you'll see that has been a lot of movement and more units have arrived. The next image is an overview of the Soloti garrison taken on January the 12th, just northeast of the Ukrainian city Kharkiv. Now, I want you to concentrate on the top right-hand corner of the image, because in the next image, taken within the last 48 hours, you can quite clearly see there has been increased activity. And as a final example, this time, we're looking at the build-up of helicopters at a base in Crimea. 67 helicopters in total, some of them troop carriers, some of them ground attack aircraft. Any of them, or all of them, could be used as part of an invasion. Now, that's just a sample of the satellite imagery and video of Russian troop movements. But it does, I think, paint a picture and explain why NATO and Western officials remain so concerned.
I'd like to provide an update on the crisis involving Russia and Ukraine. From the beginning of this crisis, I have been absolutely clear and consistent. The United States is prepared no matter what happens. We are ready with diplomacy, to be engaged in diplomacy with Russia, and our allies and partners to improve stability and security in Europe as a whole. And we are ready to respond decisively to Russian attack on Ukraine, which is still very much a possibility. For all the events of the last few weeks and months, this has been our approach, and it remains our approach now. So today I want to speak to the American people about the situation on the ground, the steps we've taken, the actions we're prepared to take, and what's at stake for us and the world, and how this may impact on us here at home. For weeks now, together with our allies and partners, my administration has engaged in non-stop diplomacy. This weekend, I spoke again with President Putin to make clear that we are ready to keep pursuing high-level diplomacy, to reach written understandings among Russia, the United States, and the nations of Europe to address legitimate security concerns, if that's his wish. Their security concerns and ours. President Putin and I agreed that our team should continue to engage toward this end, along with our European allies and partners. Yesterday, the Russian government publicly proposed to continue the diplomacy. I agree. We should give the diplomacy every chance to succeed. And I believe there are real ways to address our respective security concerns. The United States has put on the table concrete ideas to establish a security environment in Europe. We're proposing new arms control measures, new transparency measures, new strategic stability measures. These measures would apply to all parties, NATO and Russia alike. And we're willing to make practical, result-oriented steps that can advance our common security. We will not sacrifice basic principles, though. Nations have a right to sovereignty and territorial integrity. They have the freedom to set their own course and choose with whom they will associate. But that still leaves plenty of room for diplomacy and for de-escalation. That's the best way forward for all parties, in our view. We'll continue our diplomatic efforts in close consultation with our allies and our partners. As long as there is hope of diplomatic resolution that prevents the use of force and avoids incredible human suffering that would follow, we will pursue it. The Russian defense minister reported today that some military units are leaving their positions near Ukraine. That would be good, but we have not yet verified that. We have not yet verified the Russian military units are returning to their home bases. Indeed, our analysts indicate that they remain very much in a threatening position. And the fact remains, right now, Russia has more than 150,000 troops encircling Ukraine and Belarus and along Ukraine's border. An invasion remains distinctly possible. That's why I've asked several times that all Americans in Ukraine leave now before it's too.
So, guys, that's the situation right now in Ukraine. We got the latest on the Ukraine-Russian border crisis. Biden called for the diplomatic solution. He met with Putin. He's met with Putin a few times, really yielded no diplomatic, or any other regards to solutions. I got Chris up here. We're going to comments about the Ukraine situation. Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, technical issues. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be back with you.
All right, cool. So, guys, we have President Biden in the Russia-Ukraine crisis in the White House speech today saying that diplomacy and de-escalation were the best ways to keep things forward. Now, if I was the president, and I've talked to a lot of my military friends about this, deterring Russian invasion into Ukraine would be key. We have the troops, we have the arms, and we also have the allies, guys. We have NATO. I don't know why NATO and the what do you call them? The Europeans aren't as alarmed about the invasion of Ukraine as we are, but one thing's for certain, guys. The reason why the tensions are so high as far as our countries are going is because of some political theater that I already said last week in my political theater and projection episode was being brought on by the Democratic Party and the last Democratic candidate for president, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Guys, check out, let me bring you up to speed on what exactly is going on with that. I'm going to give you a chronological order of the situation and let you assess that as free thinkers, guys. Be free thinking, innovative, and open-minded. Let's listen in.
Also have this morning the special counsel appointed by former President Trump's Justice Department to investigate the Russia investigation, John Durham, has now charged a prominent Democratic lawyer. Ken Delanian is all over this story. Ken, this one's confusing. Explain it. Who was charged and with what?
Good morning, Steph. Michael Sussman is a former federal prosecutor and prominent cybersecurity lawyer who represented the Democrats, including the Hillary Clinton campaign. About 5 years ago, he met with a top FBI lawyer to pass along internet data that some researchers believed could show a secret communications channel between the Trump organization and a major Russian bank. Now, the FBI investigated and debunked this theory, but now John Durham, the special counsel appointed by Trump Attorney General William Barr, has secured an indictment against Sussman on a single felony count of lying to the FBI. Prosecutors say Sussman told the FBI lawyer that he was not at the meeting on behalf of a client, when in fact he was representing both the Clinton campaign and a Trump-opposing technology executive. Sussman's lawyers are pushing back hard. They deny that he was representing Clinton, but they say that even if he was, the lie was not material. That's legal speak for it didn't matter. The FBI was going to investigate this anyway. In a statement to NBC News, they say the case is incredibly thin, based, quote, on an oral statement allegedly made 5 years ago to a single witness that is unrecorded and unobserved by anybody else. And they say the DOJ would ordinarily never bring what they call a baseless case. Now, it's worth noting here, Stephanie, that Sussman's lawyers urged Attorney General Merrick Garland to block this indictment, but he declined to do so. It's also important to point out that this is only the second criminal case that John Durham has brought in his investigation of the investigation, which has lasted longer than the Russia probe itself. Donald Trump and William Barr promised that Durham would expose huge corruption, but he hasn't done that. He's brought two minor cases against lawyers very few people have heard of. Meanwhile, as you know, Stephanie, a bipartisan 1,000-page Senate report found that the Trump campaign's repeated contacts with Russian spies posed a grave threat to national security. Steph.
For years, the media parroted the Democrat narrative about Russia collusion. And now, as we're learning week after week, that was a complete lie. The latest with the Durham Report is that the Clinton campaign, the same group that fear-mongered this Russian collusion, actually spied on the President of the United States. They spied on the President of the United States. They spied and they lied. We need accountability. We need accountability for the Clinton campaign. We need accountability for Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler, because they were complicit in this. So the media needs to start doing their job, talk about exactly what's coming out, and hold these people accountable. On top of that, the Attorney General, Garland, he needs to be out there making sure that Durham has all the resources he needs to do a thorough investigation.
Peter McConnell, good afternoon. It's now Tuesday afternoon. Do you think we're going to have government funding? Is there going to be an issue with these amendments or this proposal by Senator Lee on vaccine mandates? Senator Blackburn concerned about these so-called smoking kits and so on. Is this going to be worked out, or are we going to be here Friday night?
Yeah, as is often the case, we'll process a few amendments before doing the short-term CR. I think it'll all be worked out. There's no danger of a government shutdown.
Senator McConnell.
Suspended
I'd like to provide an update on the crisis involving
suspended.
Without objection.
I come to the floor to give you an example of some of the hypocrisy that goes on in this town. On February the 11th, last week, Special Counsel Durham made another filing with respect to the case against Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman. I've spoken to my colleagues before to discuss Special Counsel Durham's findings in this matter. Today, I want to highlight new evidence that has come with this filing. Special Counsel Durham's filing said that at trial, his team will establish that a firm tied to the Clinton campaign misused internet traffic pertaining to 4 entities: a healthcare provider, Trump Tower, a Donald Trump apartment building in New York, and the executive office of the President of the United States. The Clinton campaign essentially spied on the Trump campaign. After Trump was elected, the Clinton campaign's work continued. Now, how did they do it? According to Special Counsel Durham, the Clinton campaign worked with cyber researchers to infiltrate private and government servers connected to Donald Trump. Their main conduit was Tech Executive One. In July 2016, according to Special Counsel Durham, I quote, Tech Executive One also enlisted the assistance of researchers at a US-based university who were receiving and analyzing large amounts of internet data in connection with a pending federal government cybersecurity research contract, end of quote. In addition, Tech Executive One had access to dedicated servers for the executive office of the president as part of a, quote, sensitive arrangement, end quote. This individual, quote, exploited this arrangement for the purpose of gathering derogatory information about Donald Trump, end quote. According to Special Counsel Durham, the Clinton campaign, through Tech Executive One, abused, quote, non-public or proprietary internet data, end of quote. One question that needs to be answered is whether any of this exploited information and data included classified information. The available facts show that the Clinton campaign abused federal government contracts to exploit government information to use against Trump. If the
So there you have it, guys. There it is. Russiagate, the collective delusion that Donald Trump was secretly a Russian agent, aided and abetted by the Kremlin. The topic of uncountable stories of the Washington Post, the New York Times, top CNN anchors such as Cuomo Primetime and Anderson the Pooper Cooper. All of it just a dirty little trick, guys. From, as I believe it's going to go back to Brennan, the ex-CIA director, in which Trump tried to revoke his clearance, you know. Remember when Rachel Maddow had him on the show, talking about how he was a threat to democracy, he was a Kremlin puppet, Assad apologist. Yeah, I think it's going to go back to that guy. But let me just tell you guys, all of it was a diabolical, successful misinformation campaign. Yes, guys, it was a misinformation campaign. Full of misinformation and disinformation, the Steele dossier, in which Russian hookers peed on the former president. No proof, no evidence. Was Trump colluding with Russia? No proof, no evidence. Not only were there no proof and no evidence, not only was there misinformation and disinformation, there was also lying going on, in which Michael Sussman, one of the only two people to be convicted, or not convicted, but indicted by John Durham, the special counsel, Merrick Garland. This is the Biden DOJ, guys. This is the Biden DOJ. Turns out the only people to be indicted on collusion and lying and nefarious foreign policy and classified document tampering is a Clinton lawyer from the Democratic Party, Michael Sussman. It really, honestly, it brings me to, it really brings me to think about the Sandy Berger caper in the 1980s, the Whitewater, and also Watergate, guys, in which the RNC spied on the DNC, tried to get Oppo research by breaking into a hotel Watergate. If y'all remember Watergate, that scandal caused Nixon to resign. Will Joe Biden resign? There's so many reasons Joe Biden should resign, guys. But I'll ask Chris. What do you think, Chris? Chris, are you there with me? Are you back, bro? I summon Chris. Survive. Chris? Echo. 1-9er. Echo.
I am. I'll figure out how to set the picture here.
Cool. Were you listening in, bro?
Can you hear me?
Have you been listening in?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I lost him again. Guys, every time I stream now lately, it's been like this. I will say the secret words. Identity politics. Does that work? Chris, you back? I said the secret Democratic words. Identity politics. Oh, well, guys. I lost him again. Guys, so now we have tensions with Russia. Russia's about to invade Ukraine. And the reason we had so much tension with Russia in the first place is because Putin's being lied on. Let's just say that. Putin's been lied on for a long time. And not only that, but he doesn't believe a goddamn word our impotent loser president says, because our president, Joe Biden's a liar. And, Chris, are you there, bro?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Have you been listening into any of this, bro? I know you're back on and off and shit. Where you at, bro?
I'm right here. You won't let me do anything.
Okay, well,
Check
I just
your
asked a
fucking
question.
messages.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know, man.
Okay, so I guess we'll get back to Chris later, guys. My whole thing, though, guys, is that, like I said, this political theater continues on with the Democratic Party. They're caught dead. I've seen a lot of talking heads talk about the halftime show. I've seen them talk about the how this is just going to be a big nothing burger. Well, what was the nothing burger before that? The Steele dossier, the Russian collusion. Now, what's not a big nothing burger to these guys is one thing. It's called protesting. That's the effective thing. It's not.
Without objection.
Homeland Security warns Canada's COVID protests could spread into the U.S. Chris Van Cleve is at the Ambassador Bridge in Detroit with more on this.
For a fourth morning in a row, Canadians protesting vaccine mandates are blocking traffic on the Ambassador Bridge. It functions as a vital link between the U.S. and Canada, America's largest trade partner. Now there are new concerns similar protests could soon caravan across the U.S. In a bulletin to law enforcement, the Department of Homeland Security says it received reports a convoy of truckers plans to potentially block roads in major metropolitan cities and severely disrupt transportation. The DHS alert says the convoy could begin Sunday in Los Angeles, the site of the Super Bowl, gathering truckers as they travel across the country, possibly reaching Washington, D.C. on March 1st, the same day as the State of the Union.
Any layer of complexity you throw onto a major event like the Super Bowl, it creates potential problems. Potentially, they could keep certain roads open only to emergency vehicles.
Protests are already impacting auto manufacturing on both sides of the border. Ford, GM, Toyota, and Chrysler's parent company are all experiencing production disruptions. Traffic is being diverted to another bridge some 2 hours north, where trucks are waiting up to 4 hours to cross.
It just keeps going on and on.
The longer this persists, Canadians that depend on jobs, that rely on trade, will be impacted.
And right now, there's really no timeline for when there may be some resolution to the standoff in Windsor just across the bridge here. But there is mounting pressure in Canada to get the Ambassador Bridge back open, particularly now that we're hearing about auto plants being disrupted over there as it starts to hit rank and file average Canadians in the pocketbook by missing work and things. That is starting to ratchet up the pressure. Anne-Marie?
So first off, just what are things like there now on the bridge? And what could a similar protest here, how could that impact the economy?
Sure. This morning, we woke up to news that both directions of the Ambassador Bridge are currently closed. And in fact, we haven't seen a vehicle come across that bridge since last night. So they had traffic coming from Canada into the U.S. open. Right now, the bridge is completely closed. There is tunnel access for cars, for big rigs. They're going about 2 hours away. So significant disruptions for people trying to get to and from Detroit and Windsor. A number of people live in Canada and work here in the Detroit area. Several of the health systems here had to scramble to figure out lodging options for hundreds of workers who normally commute across the river so that they can keep their healthcare workers here close to their jobs, given the situation in the hospitals with the pandemic. Right. What could it look like nationwide? I mean, you could see major cities gridlocked, and if those protests last for a long period of time, that could be a significant disruption. It'll certainly be frustrating for folks who need to try to navigate.
All right, so nobody seems to be in chat, so I'm going to try to close this as quickly as possible. But I was just trying to give you guys the news. We've got tensions with Russia and Ukraine. It turns out the DNC is responsible for this misinformation and disinformation. And also, guys, bringing it right back to you, it's not hurting regular people, these protests. In fact, these protests are being done by regular people in Colorado. In Canada. They're so afraid that it's going to spread down here, guys. This protesting, this individual life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness rights, this display of rebellion. Guys, they don't want to have any part of that. I saw Justin Trudeau today on TV talking about, in the most Canadian voice ever, oh, your rights, your license might be taken. Oh, you don't want to break the law, Canadians. You want to be as nice as possible. You want to make sure you get off the bridge. Yeah, Pete Buttigieg yelling, "Get off my bridge!" They're disrupting the supply chain. They're disrupting the economy. That's code, guys, for disrupting the elites. Disrupting the economy is code for disrupting the elites, guys. I just want to simply say that to you. Chris, are you there? I just want to make sure that you're there. Did you want to comment on this at all, bro? If you're there, have you been following the protests in Canada? The trucker protests? They got people literally spying.
I'm here listening.
They got people spying. through social media, the police. So, what do you think about that? Okay. Well, I guess we're just having some technical difficulties, guys. So, I think that this is a travesty, guys. Every time, these protests should have started in the United States in the first place. We're the ones that were supposed to be given inalienable rights of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness by a constitution. Turns out the Canadians are more fed up than we are when it comes to the government overreach and the attack on our civil liberties. But be that as it may, guys, we must be free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded, and continue to be resilient and persist and protest. Get the word out. This is just the beginning. That's what I think. No matter whether or not Joe Biden decides to try to save his entire presidency by going to war and starting World War III, we will